What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my breakdown of the Winter banner. I'm also going to be talking about our Tempest Trial and the upcoming Sacred Seal. So here we have got Winter Fomortiis. Nobody saw this coming and he is a red beast armor this time, so the red color could be a bit annoying at times, but he is going to be really bulky with that modern min-max stat spread, and he does come with Shield Fighter. So this is the second Shield Fighter armor that we've got after Duo Fjorm, and this banner is sparkable by everyone, including free-to-play players who do not have FEH Pass. So he has got Icy Ravager as his preferred weapon. This does give him minus on special cooldown, and at sort of turn and at sort of enemy phase, except for in summoner duels, you're basically going to be getting the Time Pulse effect. And then his weapon is always going to be active in the enemy phase, which is really helpful for being bulky even if you get hit by the AoE specials, and in the player phase, the enemy needs to be at or above 75% HP, and he's going to be debuffing the foe's attack and defense, depending on 20% of his visible defense added with 6, so this is going to be around minus 16 to 17, and then he can deal true damage depending on X. So here, X is going to be the number of foes that have been defeated by your team in the current turn, and the number of foes that have already done their action. So this does have good synergy with his ending action, and then he's going to be multiplying it by 3 and then adding by 10, and max this could go up to is 19. So I have written 19 flat damage reduction and 19 true damage, which is the max technically, but more often than not, he's not going to be having this max true damage or flat damage reduction, especially in the first few combats where you really need this kind of bulk and power against the strongest enemy, and that applies more to the flat damage reduction that he gets, because the AI is always going to be attacking with the unit generally that does the most amount of damage, so that's why this can be a bit annoying at times, but still this is going to be helping him be a bit more bulky. And this X is also going to be acting as his flat damage reduction, but he doesn't get any kind of AoE damage reduction, so he does have that weakness against the AoE specials, which you could try and exploit. Or if you're using him, then you could give him the stone terrain support and just run him with Eikthynir or Breath of Life so that he could have more healing and have a better chance against the AoE specials. He does have Null Guard built in this weapon, and he also has a mini special spiral effect. So they're again trying to pretty much make him self-sufficient with Aegis, I suppose, if you're not running Emblem Marth. But ultimately, you should be running Emblem Marth, because even though on the first hit you're going to be able to trigger Aegis, if the enemy has got any kind of doubles or brave hits, then you do want to have Emblem Marth so that you could get that special jump and then have Aegis again. And that's why in the trailer he's almost dying to a Petra, but you could notice that he's not triggering his Aegis on that double hit like he should if he was running Emblem Marth Rain. So again, that is going to be really important for him, and he does get distant counter like any kind of beast armor, and he is going to be functioning as a Far Savior with Aegis right out of the box. He could of course function as a Near Savior, but he doesn't have any AoE damage reduction, so it is going to be making it a bit annoying against Emblem Seeker. And then he has got his preferred slot A skill in Leaden Regret. So this is going to be having the fortune effect where it's going to be making it easier for him to transform, as we have seen recently with these beast units. And in Eikthynir's defense, if he's going to be put, he's going to be immediately transforming on turn 1. So he's going to be having the distant counter right off the bat, which was one of the weaknesses of the original version of Formotiis if you ran him in Eikthynir's defense. So they are pretty much trying to fix it, and if he's transformed, which it's pretty easy to do with this kind of effect, or in the enemy phase, which he's going to be tanking, he's going to be inflicting additional minus 10 attack and defense debuff on the foe, and he also has pierceable 80% damage reduction from foes' follow-up attacks, including the 4th hit. So even though this is the pierceable damage reduction, this is actually really good, because the main weakness of Shield Fighter is the fact that you face these quad attacking nukes like Ninja Lucina and Brave Bernie that hit you with the 4th hit, and Shield Fighter doesn't give you any kind of damage reduction against the 4th hit of a quad attack. So there, this kind of damage reduction does help, even though it is going to be getting pierced by 50% by any of those quad attacking competent nukes. Still, it is some kind of damage reduction, and that is one of the reasons why we sometimes see these Farsev units run Deflect Missile, even though that damage reduction is going to be getting pierced. But usually these kinds of quad attacking nukes do not often have the full damage reduction piercing, and even if they do, they opt to run curved shots to get the damage reduction. So this kind of damage reduction can help you, and it's kind of like a mini weaving fighter built in this lottie. And then he has got the 50% damage reduction piercing himself, which definitely helps just finish off the enemies in a single hit, especially with his Lottie skill and the true damage that he gets out of his weapon. And it of course has the end action built in if you fail to kill him in your player phase. So if you've faced him in Ether Raids, you already know how this works. It is going to be getting countered by Firm Canticore, but still Winter Fomortiis is going to be getting really annoying in Ether Raid's defense, as he can get extra HP with the mythic buffs. And then if you fail to kill him, which you might in a lot of scenarios because of his shield fighter and his bulk, then he's just going to be ending the action of your units, which is even more annoying, and it gets harder for you to do more damage to him and survive, because he gets more true damage and flat damage reduction the more ended action units you have on your team. Then he has got shield fighter, so if you do not have Duo Fjorm, then this could be your first shield fighter Far Savior, I suppose. And shield fighter is absolutely busted skill. It does work with only defensive specials like Aegis and Pavis, and it gives you ridiculous amounts of unpierceable damage reduction. And it also gives you the special jump, which is why running Emblem Marthring is important with Pavis or Aegis. If you run Emblem Eikthynir with Escutcheon or Sacred Cowl, then you don't get as much damage reduction compared to Pavis or Aegis with Emblem Marthring. And like I said, if you just do not run Emblem Marthring, then the Petra scenario could happen with your Formotiis, where he almost died to Petra. So Emblem Marthring is needed for the max survival. Then he comes with the perfect Slotsy skill for any kind of shield fighter, savior, and Briar Far Save. So this is going to be giving you 5 flat damage reduction against foes' first attack, including the brave hits, and then you get damage reflection, and you deal damage based on 40% of foes' attack damage before the reductions. And this is definitely helpful for many of the shield fighter saviors, because unlike Duo Fjorm, not a lot of them have the killing power, and oftentimes they just are there to survive with shield fighter, and they're not able to kill a lot of things back. So this can certainly help them, and the flat damage reduction does help, along with all of the unpierceable damage reduction of shield fighter. But keep in mind that the damage reflection you get out of the skill is limited in scope, like Counter Roar or Brash Assault. This is not the damage reflection of Hans or Duo Fjorm, so don't think that any of your Far Saviors are going to be becoming, Duo Fjorm and just killing everything on retaliation. I mean, this certainly helps you, but it doesn't stack like Ice Mirror, for example, or, like I said, Hans's weapon, Echidna's weapon. All of them have the full, damage reflection. Calic and his Refined God, this kind of limited damage reflection, and that is what is built in the Slotsy skill. So again, with shield fighter armors, this is really good, but even if you are running Armored Blaze and Armored Beacon, this could definitely serve a purpose for the survival. But with the Twin Save, you're able to trigger it twice, and you're generally going to be running those kinds of specials on an armor like Marnie in Arena. Pavis and Aegis don't really score high, so Twin Save is going to be having the application there. But overall, I do like the Briar save skills a lot more because of the flat damage reduction and the little boost of true damage that you can get out of its damage reflection. And all of that does stack up with Fomortiis' weapon and all of the things that he has got in his kit. So he can actually hit hard and try and kill things in a single retaliation. Thinking about it now, we have kind of gotten the red saviors back to back with Halloween Nagi, Nidhogre, Attuned Hector, and now Winter Fomortiis here. So he is going to be a top tier Far Savior for sure with all of the things that he has got. He's going to be really min-maxed and quite bulky. I do like his scarf. But right now there is Attuned Hector who you could also try and spark. And while Fomortiis is really good, I kind of do prefer Attuned Hector a bit because he does have the Stone Terrain and Bulwark effect, which can be amazing. Of course, Fomortiis does have the ending action, which in combination with the survival of Shield Fighter can be really annoying and unfair, but from just a tank perspective, I kind of like him a bit more because of the stone terrain and the fact that AoEs are so prevalent, and it can be really annoying. And you can also just pass off Shield Fighter to Attuned Hector or Rearmed Thiazi that you got last month, and that way you could just duplicate Shield Fodder, which is really coveted right now. And yep, Petra almost kills him because of not having Emblem Marth Ring. And then we have our next winter unit in female Shez. So here she's going to be trying to quad attack, and like I explained before, trying to quad attack is actually really helpful as a nuke nowadays against Shield Fighter saves. And she is a green dagger cavalier, and she is going to be having a similar type of effective damage as legendary and summer female Shez. So here she has got red fist blades, which is a -1 8 might dual phase brave weapon, which is really strong, and it also gives you the incited and the special charges status to yourself and the allies in 2 spaces. So again, this is going to be helping you quite a lot when it comes to miracle shenanigans and charging it up. And this can also help you offensively in Ether Raid's offense on many of your Gale Force teams, as she is going to be immune to the traps, and then she could just function as a nuke to weaken down the far saves and try and kill them, as you could get the special charges for your other units. And inside the status, along with attack speed +6, is going to be helping you offensively. Then in the combat, she's going to be able to get +14 to all of her stats, and she has got true damage based on 20% of her speed, which helps a ton with this kind of brave weapon. That kind of true damage is not going to be added to the AoE specials. And then she has got the 7 flat damage reduction on foes' first attacks. So even though she's a nuke, this kind of flat damage reduction does help with miracle charging and trying to survive the Shield Fighter saves, which are going to be having a bit of damage reflection now with the Briar Savior skill. So that's her weapon, and even if you don't want to run Miracle, you could always try and run Lethality, and with the special charges, it is going to be a bit easier for you to trigger that. Then she has got her preferred slot skill and Swift Eyes, which is going to be giving her +8 to all of her stats. It does give you the pierceable 30% damage reduction on foes' first attacks, and this can again, kind of help you survive. And it also has the full on follow-up built in, and also has the passive damage reduction piercing. So again, you could try and run her with Miracle. Even without Lethality, you're going to be having some piercing, which is really helpful. And then, just like Swift Slice, she is going to be having the effective damage against non-dragon, non-beast infantry foes if she has got more speed than foe speed +20, and for everyone else, she is going to be having the +5 speed check. So again, this kind of check is going to be a bit annoying as we get even more faster units, and that's what we have been seeing with legendary female Shez, as it is getting harder for her to meet this kind of check and get the effective damage against the units that have so much flat damage reduction. But for her in her winter version, this is going to be working fine for getting the effective damage, and she does have pretty high base speed, and she's probably going to be having a super boon as well. Then she has got a new skill in full disarm, so this is going to be doing more debuffs on the foe depending on the number of bonus status active on the unit and the penalty status active on the foe. So we have seen this kind of effect a lot nowadays, and this can go up to max 12 debuff, and it also has the null guard built in. So that is really important for any of these dagger units, because if they're a cavalry unit or flying unit, then it's a bit hard to get this kind of null guard effect. And for Shez, she does have these special charges, so it makes it really easy for her to charge up her specials using that, and this kind of effect is going to be quite helpful offensively. For the infantry units, they could try and run the Tempo Sacred Seal, or they could just try and run the Tempo skill itself in the slot B. And then it has got the Disarm Trap 4 effect, which enables you to not get affected by the Hex Traps if you have the enough HP. And she also has Pulse Smoke, which is pretty nice for a player phase dagger unit, as it does give you the Pulse Smoke effect, the Guard Smoke effect, and also the player phase Scowl. So with her playstyle, it is going to be helping her quite a lot in terms of survival. But it's a bit odd that she doesn't get Kanto anywhere in her kit, being a modern Cavalier. I mean, you could run the Emblem Secret Ring, but being a range Cavalier, she doesn't get the +1 movement, and you're mainly going to be running it for the Kanto. So I thought maybe she would have some kind of Kanto built in her slotty or the preferred weapon. So she can try and kill things a lot easily with the effective damage, but of course meeting the speed check is going to be quite important. And you could have a lot of effective damage, but if the enemy has got stupid amounts of flat damage reduction, then it is still going to be pretty hard for you to take them down. But again, the quad attacks do help against the shield fighters. And then we have got Winter Hortensia. We did see her in the silhouette, and this time she is a Staff Cavalier. And I'm really glad because she brings some new skills for the healers. And here we can see Ice Lock in the action, and it is gonna be having the physic range. So that's amazing for the healers. So she has got Snowman Staff this time, not Arcane Charmer. This does have minus on special cooldown and Dazzling Staff built in, and she's got the aerial maneuvers warping, which might seem a bit weird on a Cavalier, but it does help her move around with the setup of the ice tile and with the self-inflicted gravity of Ice Lock. So that kind of movement can be helpful. And it also helps you on the trench tile maps, and if a rally or movement assist is used by unit, keep in mind this has to be used by the unit. They cannot get targeted by their allies and trigger this effect. She has to be the one to use her assist. Then she can grant the foe penalty doubler status and the -1 special cooldown pulse to herself, the target ally, and the allies in 3 spaces of the target after her movement. So the range is pretty big, and the pulse effect is going to be only once per turn. So it's kind of reminiscent of Duochrome a bit, and foe penalty doubler effect is going to be a good status with all of the debuffs that she can try and do. So she can be an incredible support unit with this, but again, you will have to use her Ice Lock as it does act as a rally assist skill. So that can activate her weapon, and then in the combat for herself, she's going to be getting attack and speed equal to 20% of her speed at start of combat, +6, and this is going to be anywhere from 16 to 17, and she does get some true damage based on 20% of her speed, which does help her offensively, and her weapon is mainly going to be there to support her allies and for the warping with the aerial maneuvers that she has got. And then we come to Ice Lock Plus, which is such an incredible skill. So it's like Magic Shield Plus, and it is going to be giving your healer an extra action after turn 2 onwards. So this is incredible because it has got the range of Physic while having the extra action of Magic Shield Plus, and then it sets up the Divine Vein Ice terrain like Brave Female Robin. So of course you'll have to use your assist to set up this ice tile, but still this is incredible amount of support that a healer could do, and any kind of healer can do this. So even if you're trying to use your favorites in like any of the competitive modes, they could try and slow down the enemies with the ice tiles, and that could be so helpful in ether raids and also in summoner duels. So I'm definitely going to be trying to give this to my Mercedes for sure. Amazing skill for healers. She does have Holy Pressure. Kind of weird that cavalry and flying healers don't have a lot of options and still have to use Catch 4. Poetic Justice is going to be giving her more true damage, and then she has got her Slotsy skill in Twinkling Anima. So this is going to be giving you a lot of support just like Rearmed Hortensia. So it is going to be giving the +6 attack and speed buff, the Canto 1 status, and the null debuff status to yourself and the allies in 3 spaces, so pretty big range. And then she debuffs the enemies with the Panic and Discord status and the -7 speed and resistance debuff on the foes that are closest to her and any kind of foe that are in 3 spaces of those foes. So the splash range is really nice, and then she gets +5 attack and speed in the combat with this. She gets Null Guard because she's a modern unit, and then she's got 50% damage reduction piercing passively. And now we do have the Wrathful Staff Sacred Seal in the upcoming Tempest Trial, so you could run Resonance on these healers, but she doesn't necessarily have to run that, and she already gets the piercing out of this, so this is really helpful. So Winter Hortensia is going to be acting as an amazing support unit with those debuffs and everything. You just have to watch out for the cleansing, but still you could try and support your allies with the foe penalty doubler status and the pulse effect. And Ice Lock is just amazing for setting up these ice tiles, and by now everyone already knows how annoying these ice tiles are in any kind of competitive game mode. And Ice Lock could be amazing in future on healers like Elamine, who is going to be getting a refine and remix. Even Mythic Loki could try and use this Ice Lock. And then we have got Duo Alear here. So similar to last year of Duo Bylets, we have got Duo Alears. And this time, we have got male Alear in the lead, and he is going to be a blue infantry dragon. So I kind of expected this to be an armor, especially because he, saves here, but that's because of a sign decoy of Larather. So he has got Wintry Art as 11 Might, Dragonstone, which does a -1 special cooldown and dual phase brave effect. So that is expected out of Alear now. And then he has got a really unique support. He can give the divinely inspiring status to himself and the allies in 2 spaces for 1 turn. It is the personal skill of Alear in Engage, and here in FEH, it is going to be giving you extra stats, like a lot of these visible status effects like Dosage and Future Witness. So the cap of this is going to be +6, and it is basically going to be checking for the number of allies with this status in 3 spaces of the unit, which is a pretty generous range. And max, this is going to be counting 2 allies, and then it is going to be multiplying it by 3. And it also gives you special cooldown -X jump before foe's first attack. Now, this can be max -2 special jump, and keep in mind this is before foe's first attack. This is not better Rally Spectrum necessarily, because Rally Spectrum helps you offensively by giving you the offensive special jump before your first attack. This is meant more for the defensive units that maybe are trying to run, something like Dragon's Roar or, Aegis, Pavis, or any of those armored specials. That could help you because you could try and have your special ready and get the damage reduction out of it. So this kind of special jumping is really helpful for the tanks, and it can also be helpful, offensively for killing enemies. But generally this kind of special jump is seen on defensive skills like Legu's Friend and on defensive units, and it also heals up HP. So the max it could heal you up is 8 HP per attack in the combat. So in combat, healing is good for the self-sustain. Overall, an amazing status. So this kind of status does a lot of things for tanks, and then for himself in the combat, he gets +5 to all of his stats. And then he inflicts penalty on foes, all of these stats, depending on the number of distinct game title allies in 3 spaces, basically the Alear special. And the max debuffs you get out of this is -10. And you also get the true damage based on the value of X. And this could go up to max 15, which is pretty nice with this kind of dual phase brave weapon for the damage output. And he also gets the flat damage reduction up to 15 based on the same X value, but it is only going to be on the first attack of the enemy and not through all of the different hits. So this can help him tank, and Divinely Inspiring is quite nice. He does have Dragon's Roar for the unpierceable damage reduction, and then he has got Legendary Male Alear's Emblem's Miracle. He doesn't really get any kind of upgrade on this, but it's still pretty nice with the life unending type of miracle, and it also has this encounter built in it. So he can be a good Omni tank, just not too insane, I suppose, but he still is going to be a duo unit who can use his duo skill. He doesn't really have piercing in his kit. Instead, he has that in his duo button, and he does have the speed resistance variant of the spiked wall skill. So this is pretty nice with these kinds of brave attacking units, as you get the true damage based on your speed or resistance, and you also get the flat damage reduction and the null guard, which is just amazing. And then he gets the scowl effect out of the even res wave D. So he's trying to cover all of the grounds here. He also spreads himself a bit thin with his stat spread. He doesn't have as much raw defense, but he's going to be depending on his flat damage reduction and then just trying to kill the enemy with the retaliation of his brave weapon and the true damage that he can try and get with his weapon and the spiked wall skill. And in case the enemy is able to, attack again, then he does have the failsafe of having that kind of miracle. So here we see the duo button of Alear. It is going to be having the cleansing effect for himself and the allies in 3 spaces. So going to be useful in summoner duels for sure. And it also grants those allies the dull ult status and also the 50% damage reduction piercing status. And once it's used, the duo skill cannot be activated right again. It can only be activated every 3rd turn. So again, can be helpful for summoner duels, but he is going to be depending on this for the piercing instead of having it in his kit. And because he's a duo unit, he is going to be scoring really high in arena. he already has the distant counter built in his slotty, so you don't really have to run distant counter Dragon Sacred Seal. It's only going to be there for the scoring if you do, and not for the effect. Lorathar's banner isn't even over, and he's already getting dunked here, which is a bit sad. And we do have Winter Eikthynir from the silhouette. He is a free Tempest Trial reward, and he is going to be a Blue Beast Cavalier this time. And because he's a free-to-play unit, he doesn't really have his Divine Strength preferred slot-based skill. Instead, he has got Solid Ground, and he does have a preferred weapon in delivering Antler, which is going to be a bit of a nerf of his Mythic version's weapon, which you would kind of expect on a free-to-play unit, but still it does give the bonus doubler support, which is still helpful for a free-to-play unit, and it also has the true damage, similar to Mythic Eikthynir, so he could still hit hard, but he is going to be lacking the flat damage reduction. I'm going to be going more in depth in his review and all of the builds and everything, and I know I've been a bit late to the coverage of some of the things, but I've just been a bit occupied as of late with real life stuff. So I think I'm probably going to be covering the Winter banner first, and then I'll get to the Attuned Hector banner and, you know, all of the things which, you know, I haven't posted. We also have the new Sacred Seals with Wrathful Staff 3 and Speed Resistance Tempo, so both of these Sacred Seals are really helpful, and Wrathful Staff is amazing for the healers, finally, so that they could run the other slot-based skills. I mean, the options are not really as much, but still, it's something, and a bit of flexibility does help when healers are denied so many options. And the Tempo skill is also really good to just have it in the Sacred Seal slot, and then you could run Resonance or Magical Follow-Up in your slot B. So overall, this is a good Winter banner. It is going to be having that free-to-play spark, but I would suggest you wait until the Emblem Hero banner. That is going to be at the end of this month, because that is going to be a lot more valuable and it's worth waiting for. This Winter banner, while it's good, I don't think it's as insane as the last year's Winter banner, which was just absurd, and that just started this kind of you know, chain of really insane effects in the weapons and just the things that we saw this year. So I don't think this banner is quite up to the level of the last year, but maybe that's for the better for the long term. So again, Emblem Hero banner is coming up, and there's also the New Year's banner that is going to be coming up, and this banner is going to be lasting for a while, so you could just see what the options are for you. So I hope this video helped. I want to thank all of my team members for their constant support. You can click the link on the screen right now to check out my breakdown of the Nidhogre and Lorathar banner, and make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as Formotiis' willingness to participate in this kind of festival. So with that, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.